Well, what do you think, guys? Super Bowl 59. We finally know who's in it. It's going to be Kansas City going for a three-peat against Philadelphia, rematch of Super Bowl 57.
We knew all along, though.
Should be an interesting game.
That's the thing. We knew all along.
Yep. Seems like it, right? What's up, guys? This is Scott Matthews. This is the one and only Get the Edge Sports Podcast. We are back. Football season is down to the final game. We got the Super Bowl matchup probably the public wanted. Seems like Kansas City going for the three-peat against Philadelphia, and it's going to be a hell of a game. It's February 9th in New Orleans at the Caesars Superdome, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I know my partners in crime are going to be glued in on it, just like I am, and I want to bring them back on. I want to welcome my man right next to me here, the one and only, the CEO of this TK Wins, Tommy King. What's up, T?
Yeah, same old stuff here. I don't know if it's what the public wanted, but it was what the referees wanted in that game.
Oh,
so,
boy.
you know.
You're still venting with the refs, huh?
Still venting with the refs. It's hard to watch the NFL now. I mean, these games in Kansas City, I don't know. To me,
well, they didn't get anything. Kansas City didn't get any breaks on that.
Come on. That was a first down. That third down was a first down. The fourth down was a first down.
Yeah.
If you look at the late hits that they've had throughout their stretch in this playoff run over the years, I mean, a lot of stuff looking out there.
All right. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, right here on my other side of me, the one and only CEO of the Sports Profits. Here he is, Teddy Brooks.
Good to be back in the studio. Yeah,
What's up, Teddy? Everything good?
Everything's good. I'm between you guys on that because, you know, I side with TK a little bit, but I side with you also. Sometimes I don't see it, but sometimes I do see it. And I think it all started in the Eagles Chiefs. I mean, maybe not started, but that was a big one where the late hit out of bounds when Mahomes, and that was a big one.
That was a great game at Super Bowl 57.
That was a great game, so if we could get something close to that, I'll be happy.
I think it's going to be interesting this year. I really do. I think it's going to be a really, really good game, and I'm going to have a lot more, obviously, as it gets closer, but I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup. There's some key factors in that game that I'm looking at right now that I think is going to make my decision a lot easier as it gets closer to game time. Have you been looking at it?
I've been looking at it. I'm just going to throw out all the stats, all the angles, and just go with Kansas City most likely, man. They're going to have the three-peat, I think.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you say throw out all the stats, are you going to go base the stats on what, though?
Stats, you know, trends. You know, I look at a lot of trends and angles, numbers.
Against each other or just in general?
Against each other in general. I think you got to throw them out in this game, man. I think it's Kansas City in a three-peat. I think it's set up for that, and that's what it's going to be.
Why do you say? What do you mean by set up?
He says it's written. He says it's
already
written
in the book.
It's going to come out here in the next 6-7 months.
Roger Goodell hand guide.
Yeah.
Well, TK's saying that there's a big scandal that's going to come out, so we'll see. He's got inside info. But hey, guys, did you guys hear about the whole three-peat thing with Pat Riley?
Yeah, he created it.
He created it. He has 6 patents on 6 different ways to say it, and if someone else wants to use it, they can, but they have to pay him 5% royalties. Now, it's happened twice. 2 teams have paid Pat Riley in the last 20 years.
The Bulls.
The Bulls and I believe the Lakers.
The Lakers
paid Pat Riley 5% royalties. Now,
wasn't he the coach, though? No, was he the coach back
at one point, but Phil Jackson was the coach during that three-peat.
Right,
but here's the thing. The amount of money that could potentially be made on the Super Bowl apparel compared to some of those basketball teams in the billions. Pat Riley could make tens of millions of dollars if
he need it?
He doesn't need it, but he could make it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. He was smart enough to do something like that, but I don't think he expected too many teams to do a three-peat in the world of sports the way it is nowadays. Very difficult.
Very difficult.
And it still has not been done, guys, so don't.
In football.
Yeah, well, in general, like in football, it's never been done. It was done in the old, when the Packers did it, but it wasn't in the Super Bowl era.
Right.
It was called like championship games back in the day.
Yeah, it was back when you had the AFL and the NFL would play each other.
Yeah, so the Packers did it with Bart Starr 3 straight years in a row, but it's never been done in the Super Bowl era. New England had a shot at it, and obviously they fell short. Hey, let me tell you something. Not an easy accomplishment to do, winning the championship 3 straight years in a row. And this is going to be an interesting Super Bowl when it comes down to it. Any takes on those games last week. I mean, as far as Kansas City and Buffalo, I think Buffalo put it all out there.
Yeah,
They
Buffalo put it out. I had Buffalo. I lost with them.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, I think they should have won that, but it is what it is.
They played good enough to win it. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
If that guy caught that ball in the end, it could have been a little different game at the end there. Nice pass. It just threw it up in the air. Could have grabbed it. Changed
Yeah.
outcome of that game.
Well, he was laying on the ground. I mean, he was off balance, and yeah, I mean, it was easy enough to.
What was
if you
the
think
flag?
about
What
it.
was the flag at the end? They picked it up.
I don't know.
There was a flag at the end of it. I think it was supposed to be a roughing the passer, and they picked it up.
No,
but,
there was no roughing
No,
the
I thought
passer.
that they were talking about it.
No.
Who's the announcers for the game in the Super Bowl? Well, I know Tom Brady's probably not there after his comments on the games last week.
What
He
happened?
made a lot of comments about the refereeing as well.
Oh, listen.
What did he
he
say?
got a lot of the calls as well. I've read a couple articles on it, but he's not the guy to complain because he got a lot of calls from the refs as well. So,
You think so?
so the Patriots, he got a lot of calls. A lot of the rules are changed because of Brady
Well,
right
when you're
now.
listen,
The
guys,
Tuck rule changed because of Brady.
when you're a superstar, you're gonna get breaks, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, that,
You think Michael Jordan got a lot of calls back in his day?
of course.
LeBron
Everyone.
James gets calls
All
probably.
all the superstars do. Come on.
And now these days in the NFL, they can review a foul. So back in
Yeah,
the
I
day,
mean,
they
it's-
didn't do that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they can look at it, but when the superstars are involved, anything can go. You know that as well as I do. But I guess we're going to have a lot of different prop selections and things like that next week on our show. Guys, pay close attention to our show next week because we're really going to dig in deep. We're going to really break down the Super Bowl, our own opinions, obviously, all three of us, and obviously our own opinions on some props that we feel we could give you that winning edge with. I'm sure you're going to be looking at all. I mean, how many are there? There's thousands, isn't there, Teddy?
Thousands. And I'm going to even bring something special to the table. I'm going to tell you exactly where to place your square for your Super Bowl square sheet.
Oh, boy. Teddy's moving in all kinds of different directions. What about you? Do you play that? Do you play the squares?
I'll play.
You do,
I
right?
play the squares. We got a different card we use. Just all random luck on those numbers. But
No, of course.
it
Anything you get a safety or a extra
Yep,
point
anything can
or
happen.
Whatever the
just
case.
makes the game more interesting.
With what we do, where we're always trying to focus, study the numbers, figure things out, sometimes it's fun to just pick something and see if you get lucky or not. Sometimes it's
I think it's pretty cool. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just
it's fun to just-
I don't really call it gambling. That's more like an entertainment play.
Right. Just letting go of
you're doing
control
it with a
and-
bunch of friends,
Yep.
and you hope somebody you know is probably you're in a pool with people you know, so somebody's going to pick up even if you play even a $50 box or a $20 box.
yeah, $50
gonna
box.
make
pick
themselves
up
a nice
few
little
$100
score.
bucks. You got 100 boxes.
Have you
That's-
ever won any of those? I never have any luck with that.
I have. My favorite is when you do the family ones and you get people that do it with their family or your family, and you got grandmas and aunts on the boxes, and they win. That's always fun
Where
to see.
are you watching the Super Bowl this year?
I don't know. That's a good
We
question.
usually do a pig every year. I'm going to see if we're going to do one this year. We're going to decide this week.
Do you have the pit?
Yeah,
Do
I
you
got
ha-
the pit, the China box,
Really?
fired up.
Yeah,
I
how
have a
big was the one last year?
It
You
was
had
an
a
80
pretty.
pounder. We usually do 80 to 100 pounds. Then we throw a bunch of pork butts in the oven.
Wow.
We get a
That's
couple
good
hundred
stuff.
people there.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine that throws a massive party. He throws like about 100, 150 people because he's got a big business. So he has it at his house. He's got a huge home, and they did a pig last year. It was like 120 pounds.
They had the best party, Super Bowl party. I went to my buddy Chris down in Miramar. Huge house, just like your friend. Set up a casino themed night. He had a sports book in the background. He had a craps table, roulette.
No way.
It was a great party, man. It was
What
a great
about the
party.
Hard Rock guys? We got the Hard Rock in our backyard. Do they have Super Bowl
They're
parties
doing
there?
a Super Bowl party. I got
What, a
invited this
ballroom?
year. I think they're doing it in that nightclub upstairs. They're going to have one
Oh,
up
Deer?
there. Yeah, with all the TVs outside. They're going to have a show on there.
I think Ben will be at that one. I know Ben's itching to get a nice table over there at Deer with some hot tamales and hanging out.
I was
watching
at the pool a couple days ago. I was sending
see
Scott
Ben?
a couple pictures. Told
yeah?
him I had a nice little view out there on
Yeah.
Wednesday afternoon.
A lot of sunshine in my face he sent me. Yeah, saw a couple of little tamales out there at the pool. I don't know, man. That place is happening. I'll tell you. I guess it's going to be packed out there for the Super Bowl.
It's
right?
packed. Yeah, I mean, TK said it was packed on a Wednesday, so I
Wednesday,
couldn't
it was
imagine what
mobbed.
it's going to be like for the Super Bowl.
What do you guys anticipate? I mean, not to give away picks or anything at this point in time because we want to obviously dig deeper as it gets closer. But you anticipate this game being a close game, or do you see it being like maybe in one direction,
I think it's going to be a tight game. Basically,
similar to the first time they met?
It's going to be Kansas City against Barkley, basically.
I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be just like the first time. I think it's going to come down to the end,
High scoring.
and I think Kansas City wins it because of some BS. But we'll save that for.
You know, they were lucky to win that last game against them. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Philadelphia played excellent. They should have
outplayed them
really
that
won
game.
it. Yeah,
they
totally
outplayed them. 100% outplayed them. They were the better team there. But hey,
Well, last week, the Eagles either looked good or Washington looked that bad in that game on Sunday. Detroit would have put up a better matchup in that last
game.
week.
Well, the inexperience, I guess, or maybe a lot of people didn't expect Washington to get to that point, to get to the championship game. It came out. A lot of mistakes made. Philadelphia just dominated the game. I mean, from both sides of the ball, absolutely crushed them. I don't think, even with the mistakes made, that
the best part of that game was when they were at the goal line, and they almost had to. They announced that they were one offsides away from awarding a touchdown to the other team.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't think anyone ever knew
You ever
that
see
could
that
happen.
before?
No, I don't
was
think
like
that's
5
ever
in a row?
happened.
Well, you got that tush push. How come Buffalo couldn't do it? I mean, Philly does it every time, and they get 2-3 yards. Buffalo couldn't do it and get a 2
Yeah,
inches.
I was surprised. Especially
you
with a
got a
guy
big
like
boy.
Josh
Yeah, he's a
Allen.
big boy, too.
256 pounds, a beast. 6'4", 256 quarterback. They can't get a yard.
You know why they couldn't get it? Because it wasn't written.
Yeah,
There
probably.
you go.
Yeah, it's the Mahomes factor. It seems like you run it. It's like the Bermuda Triangle. You get lost in there somehow.
And Barkley looked good, though, man. He just – you can't stop that guy. He just runs the ball so solid.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't want to get too much into the Super Bowl. The public's going to be all over Barkley props.
I saw 123. I saw 123 for rushing yards right now.
I saw 120,
Yeah,
but 123 is pretty high.
but he's good enough to get it, man. I mean, this guy's finding ways to bust loose in a long game. What do you? He's had over 60-yard run in his last 3 games in a row.
That's another prop that's pretty popular is over on his longest run. I think it's like 12 or 14 yards.
All right, we're going to dig deep next week. Hey, I wanted to get in a little bit of college basketball with you guys because obviously the audience, we got to start moving into different areas now. We got some college basketball. I was just curious on takes of teams that you feel are playing, at a higher level right now at this point in time, or the surprise teams or teams that you feel like should be better and they're not. Any take on that, T?
Well,
Your
I like
top teams right now?
Top teams, Auburn, Duke. Iowa State's a little bit of a shocker that they're up in the top 10. Gators, they got that big boy. He's amazing
I
every
think
game.
the Gators are playing dynamite.
Yeah, Alabama, we still got to go to the Alabama game, and that'd be fun to see a little Alabama basketball.
About Alabama and Auburn right now. They're probably the 2 best teams in the country. I mean, Auburn is for sure number 1, and Alabama's like ranked 3rd or 4th, and they're playing great basketball right now. I had them the other night against Mississippi State. There's a dog. I'm surprised they were a dog in that game, but they were like a 1.5-point dog. They ended up winning that game by 5. Yeah, Alabama's playing great. Like Teddy mentioned, the SEC is kind of the dominating conference right now in college baskets.
Yeah, I brought it up last week. It's like I said, there is a potential record here on the line. 13 SEC teams making the tournament. The record's 11 from the Big East about 10, 15 years ago. I love what I'm seeing from them. There's going to be a real interesting matchup. I actually have a little preview on it, this Tennessee-Florida matchup. You're just talking about Florida. Right. This is a lot of good
What do you think the line's going to be on that game? It's not out yet.
So this is what I did. I think the line, Florida blew them out like 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Bad in Florida, in Gainesville. They beat them by like 20-some points. I think the line's going to be Tennessee's at home. Tennessee has not, Tennessee just lost to
they lost the other night.
Kentucky. They lost to Kentucky the other night. They were a big favorite.
Yeah, they were like
8-point favorite, and the line went up.
10.5.
Well, it opened at 8. It went up to like 10 or 11.
Yeah, they lost the
and
whole
they
game.
lost the game outright. They went 11 of 45 on 3-point shots in that game. So, their offense is their issue. They got to get that under control.
Well, you live and die by the sword. You go for the threes. If you don't make them,
Exactly.
You know
and if they try that against Florida, I think they got big problems because Florida can score. And if Florida starts outscoring you and you're missing threes, you're going to see a big differential really fast. This is a 12 o'clock game. It's going to be interesting to see how these kids come out. Now, Tennessee has that big man, Zakai Ziegler. Mm-hmm. He's pretty much their best player. And he got hurt in that Kentucky game, so it's important to keep an eye on him. Florida has a number 3 adjusted offense for efficiency.
What do you think the line's going to be on that game?
I think it's going to be about Tennessee -2 or 3.
I disagree with you.
That's why I would
think
say
Florida's going to be favoring that game by 1.
I'd say Tennessee by 1 to 2. Might even be like a pick.
I think odds makers are giving 4 or 5 points for home court advantage in this one. So yeah, I think on a raw number, I think Florida should be a 2 or 3 point favorite, but I think it's going to shift it to Tennessee. But I'll tell you what, if I see Tennessee with a big number, like anything 3 or more, I'm jumping all over Florida.
I don't think you're going to see it. I really don't. I think the Gators going to be a small favorite in that game.
Would you, if you saw Tennessee as a small favorite, would you take Florida? Would you?
If I was looking at that game, depending on if the numbers show, depending on the numbers that came my way, if Tennessee was like a 1.5, 2.5 favorite, I'd probably buy it up to 3 and jump all over Florida. Yeah, big time.
That's what I'm thinking too in that game.
But I don't think you're going to see it. I think you're going to see. I think that game's going to be close to a pick'em or Florida -1. I got a funny feeling. For Gators playing great on the road, playing great overall, winning easily. Tennessee losing 2 straight games in a row. I think that right now they're going through a little downswing where the Gators right now are on an upswing.
Definitely. You got the number 2 ranked offense, Gators, versus number 2 ranked defense, Tennessee. So it's going to be a great matchup, early matchup, 12 o'clock. But I'm excited for this one. SEC play, there's a lot of big SEC matchups this weekend.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, you got some interesting games. Like you say, you got Alabama playing as good as anybody in the nation. I like the way they play. It's tough to beat them. They score a ton of points. They got great outside shooting. They got a great inside game. So Alabama's going to be a tough out, I think, all season long. I think they're going to stay right in the top 10 or way up there, even in the top 5. Most of the season, unless something really happens to them. Seems like Auburn's going to be another one like that, very consistent, 18-1 this year or 19-1. So it seems like those 2 teams are, and Duke obviously seems to always be there. What are they like, 19-2?
18-2. They got North Carolina tomorrow night.
Yeah, but North Carolina's nothing.
But that's always a good matchup, though. They step it up.
You got to throw the records out when teams like that meet. No numbers out on these games yet, don't we?
No Lions. That Tennessee game, my numbers that I use, I got right now Tennessee favored by 2 in that game.
Exactly.
You're seeing that?
That's what I would put them at with using my power ratings.
Sticking with the SEC, another interesting matchup. You got John Calipari, who's with Arkansas now, they're doing terrible this year, but he's going back to Kentucky on Saturday. And he took a lot of players from Kentucky when he went to Arkansas.
Yeah.
So he's going back to Kentucky. I'm looking for a big line here. I'm looking to jump on Arkansas if I can see a big line, maybe over 8. Anything 8 or more, I'm jumping on the road dog here just because of the Calipari effect. I think that those players are going to kind of have a little boost. They're not a good team, but I think for that specific game, they're going to have a little boost.
Don't you think the other side, though, would be pumped up to beat the crap out of them?
Could be, but I think
put a little statement. Hey, see you later.
I think a lot of those guys might not care,
especially if they're getting beat up on the last.
If you've been watching college basketball, there's been a lot of double-digit favorites losing straight up in the last couple of weeks.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I think things are changing in basketball. These games are getting a little bit more level playing field. With the NIL and stuff, you're getting guys out there making these games a little bit more even.
I think right now an early indication for Coach of the Year, as crazy as it sounds, Rick Pitino for St. John's. Unbelievable job he's done.
They might win the Big East.
They are in a big clear lead in the Big East.
Wasn't it them and Marquette, right?
7 in a row they've won, 18-3 record, playing unbelievable. Really, Pitino's done a phenomenal job. Here's a guy, what is he, like 70-something years old, and they brought him in and it's turned that program around. They're playing great basketball. Watch a team like St. John's, guys. That's how you make money. As I told you guys, and I'm sure you guys agree, you got to pick a handful of teams to follow really closely. You can't follow all these teams. There's no way you're going to have success following 100 teams and trying to figure out what's up. You got to kind of have a basket of teams, like a top 20 yourself, and kind of watch the numbers when they put them out on those certain teams when they're playing in conference, out of conference, because there's value there to take advantage of. And that's what I do really well. I look for certain numbers that I think are weak on certain matchups, and I try to take advantage of them the best I can, and I've been having a lot of success this year. College basketball has been dynamite for us over the last 2.5 months.
I'm right there with you. I think UC San Diego is one of those teams I look at. St. Bonaventure, I'm looking at them every game they play. Seeing
they're tailing off. They won the other night, but they were tailing off a little bit.
They are, but they were hot. They still have the record. I'm still not giving up on them just yet, but they are tailing off. It's been real hot. UNC Wilmington. And even UNC Greensboro hasn't been bad. Some of these small schools that no one pays attention to, that's really where it's at.
What's your take on that? Do you kind of like zone in on a certain amount of teams, or you're not looking at every team?
I'm not
out
looking
there all
at
the
everything,
time?
but we're the same thing with the numbers. I'm looking for what I got off, and when they're off, I'm playing them. But I like looking at the top 25 teams. I mean, those are the best ones out there. I mean, look at these games coming up this week, and there's a lot of good matchups out there. Should be able to find some mismatches, not against the teams, but versus the number, and take advantage of it.
Now, like just for example, like a matchup like Florida and Tennessee, is that a game that would interest you a lot, or is that a game you'd like say, yeah, you know what, there's better value out there with other
But
teams?
it depends on the lines. We don't know the lines yet coming up on Saturday. If the line comes up,
Well, even if the number's right,
if
let's say the number's
the
right.
number's right, then I'm jumping on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm jumping on it.
So what do you think the number would be right? Just on you think it should be Tennessee at 2?
Tennessee minus 1.5, 2 points in
So
this game.
if they were, scenario, of course, if they were 1.5, 2, would you be betting that game?
I'd stay away from it. I got to at least have a 1.5 point edge or more.
Okay.
To jump on my
So
place.
if Florida was a 2-point favorite, you'd take Tennessee all day.
Of course, I jump on it.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that the numbers that you use, the differentials and all that, do you think they mean less if they're small schools? Do you think because there's not as much money being moved on them?
I don't think the
it
money
shouldn't
move
matter.
matters. The
So, yeah.
numbers
So
are
what
numbers.
matter at
what makes you focus on top 25s then?
I just like watching the top 25 teams play. It's the
There you
better
go.
action, more
They
excitement.
are better games. Sometimes those small school games,
Those
even
small school teams, I'm not laying in college basketball, even in the NBA, I'm not laying over 8 points in the game. I'm not taking over 8 points in college basketball. I'm not laying over 15 or taking over 15. I want a little bit tighter matchups versus my numbers, and that's that's how I play my games.
Listen,
Anybody
whatever-
can pick a 20. It's just like baseball. Anybody can pick a minus 300 favorite. Anybody could pick a minus 20 favorite. Duke blow out somebody by 20, 30 points.
Yeah, but what if they're 20, 25 better? What's wrong with using them? What's the
That's
difference?
true. That's true.
At the end of the day, I mean, we're looking to win, right? So the point spread should matter. It should be the differentials of the teams playing against each other that gives you feel that edge to play that game, whether it's 1 point or it's 25 points. My opinion.
Historically, I definitely agree. Historically, I have done better with smaller spreads. Whether it be the dog or the favorite, I have done better with smaller spreads. But that being said, this year's a lot different with some of these, like TK said, you got a lot of big spread teams losing outright, big favorite teams losing outright. So it's going to be interesting to see if that continues or if the odds makers make some adjustments and tighten up some of those lines.
You know a team that's doing really well quietly. Well, it's not even quietly. They're in the top 10 in the country. Michigan State right now. Tom Izzo's doing a hell of a job. They won 13 straight games in a row. They're playing extremely well in the Big Ten Conference. Michigan State seems like to be a powerhouse as well. You got a lot of interesting teams. You got, like I said, Alabama. You got Houston. You got Duke, Auburn, Marquette. Like I said, St. John's playing excellent. Michigan State. So a lot of.
I'm trying to understand how, going back to these, like a 10-point favorite losing by 8. I mean, how do the odds makers? Usually the odds makers are pretty tight with their lines. What do you think's causing?
You just mentioned it. Poor shooting. A team comes out and they hit a 10 out of 40 from 3.
Yeah.
They're counting on the three-pointer. The three-pointers can make or break you. You know how it goes in these games now, especially in the NBA. These teams get ice cold from the outside. They're not going to be able to catch up with these teams, scoring more consistently. They're going to fall behind by a lot of points, and by the time they have a shot to catch up, then they're not catching up.
You know what makes a difference too? Legal sports
shooting.
betting. Legal sports betting makes a lot of difference with these lines. You got a lot more action going on in the game. Years ago you couldn't see all the offshore money coming in. Now these books can see the legal money coming in, so where all this action's coming, to public money, whatnot. So it makes a little difference on these lines that they're putting out. That's my opinion.
So
on
wait,
the game.
you think that
The public money can move the line 2-3 points. You know how it goes, especially in college basketball and the totals. A lot more legal money coming in than years ago when you had just the black market out there. Coming in with the offshore, no one saw that money coming in. Now you're seeing everything coming in.
Yeah.
Sports books in Las Vegas lost for the first time in 12 years in the month. Last month they lost December, losing month overall.
In what, baskets?
Overall, sports book in football, they had one of their worst weeks of the last week of NFL.
Well, they had one of their worst years in 30 years in football.
That's what I saw all them stats come out there.
Yeah, but sometimes, listen, they make mistakes. Like a perfect example, last night, I used the game, we're talking about it now, but I jumped on Cleveland State They won 12 straight games in a row. They've been dominating for the last several days and weeks. They won 12 in a row. They were a 4.5-point underdog against Purdue, Wayne, Indiana last night. I just didn't see it. I didn't see Purdue, Wayne, Indiana being a 4.5-point favorite against a team like this that's been playing so well. I jumped on the dog, and the dog won outright by 10. I mean, that's another example of a bad number. I took advantage of the number I thought should have been a much different number, and I grabbed onto it, and it worked out well for me.
So what do you guys prefer, NBA over college basketball? If you're going to put your money down,
college
basketball, I would say college basketball as well.
Yeah.
NBA's back and forth. I mean, got Portland red hot last night. I used Portland plus 5.5 last night. I think they won the game by 20 plus. They were over 20-point.
Yeah, they've been showing a little life against the point spreads and playing a little better lately.
Their coach has got them fired up. He's high-fiving them on the sidelines. They took care of the Bucks the other night. I mean, Portland's stepping it up a little bit. Young squad.
More so in NBA, you got to follow the hot teams because these teams get hot, like Portland right now, and then they get cold.
Celtics have been cooling off lately. They started like a house of fire, and they've cooled off. They won the other night, but they haven't been playing that great against the spread of recent.
Cleveland's playing still good. They're firing away.
Yeah. Well, you got OKC. I mean, they didn't cover the other night. They lost outright, I think, to Golden State. That was surprising because Golden State's playing on demand. The NBA is tough. And don't forget, with the NBA, sometimes they don't announce until the very, very end. These game-time decisions on players, and you see these lines booming like all over the place. So it kind of throws you a curveball. You got to watch the NBA real closely, especially with the injury reports, because it seems like they don't like to release it out until very late, close to game time.
I wonder what's going to happen with these player props now going into NBA basketball with a couple of situations going on with a couple of these players.
Yeah, you got Terry Rozier under investigation now for shaving his own points potentially. But
he was out for the rest of the year after that injury. He had an injury in his foot in that game. That's when they're investigating.
Is that
he
it?
He sat out, but
you want to know my opinion on it? I think it's a little bit of overkill. I think that these government entities are getting a little bit too it's like every time someone has a bad game and there's a lot of bets on that under, you're going to investigate it. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a little
right.
I think they're flexing their muscle a little bit too much.
Eastern Michigan point shaving scandal that's going on right now as well. Have you seen that one?
I haven't heard about that one.
Check that one out. There's some stuff going on. A couple other smaller schools in Louisiana.
Well, there was some weird betting patterns.
For the first half. And
some weird betting patterns with games that they were involved in. Was it first half?
First halves.
Yeah, and they were way off. So, and then they saw like big amounts of money being moved on it.
I just saw a prop fly by here. Will Travis Kelce get engaged after a Super Bowl win?
No, they did that shit last year too. Everyone thought last year that was going to happen. Hey, I wanted to ask you guys a couple of questions. Are we done with the college baskets?
Yeah, we could be. I just want to say one more thing really quick. This Auburn matchup going against Ole Miss, they're going to Ole Miss. Auburn is obviously the best team in the country, in my opinion, no question about it, but they have had some problems covering within the SEC, covering the actual spread, usually winning the game but not covering the spread. So this is a game that I have on my alert. If I see this +8 or higher with Ole Miss, I'm gonna roll with Ole Miss.
You know who's been a surprise too in the SEC when none of us even mentioned them? Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
Vanderbilt playing steady basketball. They're back in the top. Back in the top 25. I think they won. Who they beat their last game? I think they beat Kentucky.
Yeah.
Marquette's starting to step it up a little bit as well. Marquette, they're not a bad team.
That's what I was just saying when Scotty said, St. John's own the Big East. I think Marquette's right there with them.
I think St. John's jumps them. I think St. John's the team to beat in the Big East this year. I think Patino's done such a phenomenal job, and they're playing so well right now. It just seems like they're organized really, really well. I think it'd take a stellar effort for Marquette to jump them.
And what's weird about some of these teams like St. John's, you give them out to a client, they're in New York, they can't even bet the game. They get all pissed off.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me. Yeah.
New York, Illinois is big because there's a lot of college basketball teams in Illinois. Edwardsville, a lot of them. Illinois, Virginia.
Here at the Hard Rock, we got everything. You can bet on,
and you can bet Florida. Yeah, that's going back.
Sense.
It's going back to government overreach. It's like, why are you trying
to talk about the government this time?
I do, because I can't stand them. But why are you trying to control everything so much? Florida has a great model. What is you really think because I'm in the same state as the University of Florida Gators that I'm going to call a player on the Gators and try to get them to drop a. I mean, is that what they? Is that why they do it? Like, what is the purpose of not letting someone who's in New York bet on or against a New York college team? But you can bet on a New York professional team, just not college.
Yeah, well, years ago in Vegas, you couldn't bet on UNLV. You had to have an outlaw line to bet the game offshore. But
It always seems that way with college. These young kids, they don't want to tarnish whatever the case may be.
It is pretty easy for a college kid to give a 20 grand to one of his buddies, another to that, and he can pick up 100 grand a game if he's not going to be making it in the NBA. But the NIL money's changing that up. I mean,
I want to talk about a couple of these quarterbacks that are out on the free agent market, possibly. If you guys got any opinions, Pete Carroll got signed, obviously, to be the head coach of the Raiders.
Yeah.
What do you think of him and Russell Wilson maybe reuniting? Because Russell Wilson's not sure. I don't know if that's a sure thing that he's going to go back to Pittsburgh. Any take on that?
I wouldn't want Russell Wilson on my team.
No,
I don't think that. I personally don't even think he helped the Steelers. I think they should have kept Fields in.
I think the Raiders would take anybody right now.
Well.
What about your boy Aaron Rodgers? You guys see him going in? I think he retires. I've been saying that right along.
He would be a good for the Raiders.
Yeah, you send Devontae back to the Raiders, send him to the Raiders.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't mind that.
And the crazy one is this guy, Sam Darnold, unbelievable. Had an unbelievable year in the last couple of games, probably ruined his stock, probably fell 50% just on those last few games.
He lost millions.
Yeah.
He lost millions in those last couple of games.
I wonder where you think a guy like that could end up going. I could see him being a fit maybe for a team like the Raiders.
Maybe he goes back to the Jets.
Yeah, no, that ain't happening. The Jets are going to draft a quarterback, I think, this year.
You know, what are the Dolphins doing with Tua? He's just not. He's not the guy, and he really shouldn't be playing. I mean.
Don't get me started on Tua.
I know. That's the whole reason I brought it up. Because I'm trying to get you started.
He's probably at Grand Oaks right now playing 18 holes and getting ready for an afternoon.
Is that where he plays?
I heard he plays out there. But,
okay.
I figured, that neck of the woods, he's probably playing Grand Oaks.
I mean, I don't understand you guys with this Tua, because when Tua plays, I mean, he is a winning quarterback record-wise. I mean, he has been a.
But he beats the.
He's not the leader that you guys expect him to be, but he still brings more to the team than.
But you got the AFC. He plays in the AFC weak sides. Those teams that he played against all year long. He really didn't play solid teams.
Yeah,
that's the thing. He doesn't beat the winning teams with winning records. It's not even like he doesn't beat elite teams. He doesn't beat teams with winning records.
What did he sign for? Like 200 some odd million?
Oh yeah, he's maxed out.
So where are they going with him? They got no shot getting rid of him, right?
Well, we got baseball starting soon too.
Oh God, you're jumping all over on me now.
I'm going to be betting some baseball here this afternoon. We got the Caribbean World Series. I know you guys don't watch that stuff, but I'm going to be pulling in the Dominican team in the Caribbean World Series. It's not Licey, but it's Escondido. I'm going to be pulling this in the Caribbean World Series. Starts this afternoon.
The people in the U.S. bet that stuff?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why they're so good in
These
the
are all
Dominican?
MLB players playing this series.
Future. You know why they're so good in the Dominican? They have these little balls like this big.
They throw at the cap.
Yeah, and with a little stick, and they teach these kids when they're 4, 5, 6, 7 years old to hit a little tiny ball with a little tiny stick.
There you go.
And by the time they get to the majors, they're hitting bigger balls with bigger sticks.
Hand-eye coordination.
Exactly.
That's what they're looking for. They're looking to get that edge. But all right, guys. Well, listen, we're going to keep the show this week a little shorter because we're going to have a big-time show next week. We're going to do a lot of breaking down of the Super Bowl. We're going to have some prop selections. I think we're going to get into some college basketball hopefully next week. We're going to do the show, I believe, on Friday. Is that correct? Next week, Friday. Are we back on Friday?
Yeah, I'll double check. We might have to talk about a time. But
okay.
Yeah,
we'll all announce to you guys on our social media feeds. When the show will be up. So check it all out. You could check on my feed. You can check on Teddy's and TK's. And
have you actually been posting the show on your feed now?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Listen, I have something in hockey. I don't know if you're touching on anything, but I have a stat for this weekend. Okay. Now this is a little bit juicy. So it might be something you guys want to put.
You better win one, man. Come on, Lou, with these juicy stats.
It might be something you guys want to put into a parlay or something like that. But the Oilers, coming off of a loss this year, they have 15 total losses this year. coming off of a loss this year, and the next game being followed up where they're a minus 200 favorite or better, they're 9-1. So that's what's happening in this game right here. They lost their last game. They're coming in, and they are a minus. Let me see what it's at right here. They are currently sitting at minus. Oh, wow. It dropped to minus 155. So I'm looking for the Oilers to bounce back here in this game. I'm also looking at another play that I like on Sunday, Flyers versus Avalanche over the total. Now, the total's not out yet. Probably going to be 6. I would go over that, even if it's 6.5.
Is there anybody better than this goalie for the Winnipeg Jets? What's it, Hellebrook? I mean, unbelievable season. Look at this guy, 32-7-3 record. I mean, just crushing it. They beat the Bruins last night. This guy's 32-7-2. If he doesn't win goalie, what is it called? The vet? I forget what they call it.
I know what you're talking about.
It starts with a V.
Vessenitz Trophy. Yeah,
I'm not a big hockey better, so you guys played the hockey more to me.
This Winnipeg Jet team has been playing sensational right from the beginning. I think they started the season off like winning their first 13 or 15 straight games in a row, and this guy has kept the momentum going all season long. Just phenomenal. Last night beat the Bruins 6-2. Watch this guy when he plays. You can catch some good pricing with this Winnipeg team. They've been just dominating over the last several weeks when it comes to the NHL hockey. I like hockey this time of the year myself. I've been putting out some plays here and there, and I've been doing extremely well with them. So I definitely agree with you. There's some opportunities out there. They're down to like the last 30 games or less before the playoffs start.
Who's the top teams in hockey right now? I mean,
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
I mean,
they're playing the Capitals tomorrow. I see.
The Capitals lost
team.
last night to Ottawa. The Capitals have been on a roll all year long. Quietly, they got a goalie that's 22-2-3 this year. That's an unbelievable record.
Yeah, that's something you guys want to look at. Goalies are very important in hockey. They don't. It doesn't look like they are because they're just standing in one spot, but they are so important. And a lot of times you'll see a team
hot goalie carries
that
the
you
team.
think might be, should be like minus 170, and you see them at minus 130, and you just jump on that team. You don't really look any deeper into it. But guys, goalies don't play every game, so every team has a second and third goalie. So look and see, hey, why is this line so low? Are they playing their second goalie? And if they are, you might want to stay away from it because there's a reason why the odds makers are giving you such a good line there.
Why in hockey? Why not just get a big 400 or 500 pound Samoan working the goalie and then no one could get one by him?
Yeah, right.
Those guys are agile. First of all, you got to
they
think
can't move that quick with that
just
puck
gotta
coming
lay there
at them
for
100 miles an hour.
And not only that, but they have to stand upright on skates for 3 hours or 2 hours, however long a game ends up being.
No, I like hockey. I really do, and I love it during the playoffs because the intensity level goes up big time from the regular season. Once that playoff starts, it seems like they just go into a whole different level of these games get very physical and a lot on the line.
I do like playoff hockey. Playoff hockey is exciting. I went to all the Panther games. There's nothing better than playoff hockey.
What do you think?
That's where I'll bet.
You think they got a shot to repeat?
I don't know about a repeat, but they're starting to step it up. They won 3-0 the other night. That was Star Wars night.
They can't go by one game, but I think they got the team. They got the nucleus to get the job done. They got a great goalie. They got some really good young players on that team. I mean, they can catch a roll and just go on it like they did last year.
They're minus 350 on Saturday against the Blackhawks.
Yeah, well, the Blackhawks.
But didn't they have one of the best younger players or something, the Blackhawks, and he got hurt last year?
Eric Bedard.
Yeah, he still plays for them?
Yeah. He's one of the best young players in the National Hockey League. There's a lot of great players in the hockey. Hockey is an exciting sport. I got to be honest with you. I really enjoy it, but I kind of focus more in it as really get into watching it. I should say when the playoffs start because the intensity level.
A lot of people don't like betting hockey because they don't like laying the numbers that you need to lay to bet it. You have to be able to lay numbers in hockey.
That's basically like betting baseball.
Yeah, you can't be afraid to lay
I will
numbers.
go to the game down in Miami when they come and play outdoors next year. The Panthers are playing. I'm not sure who they're playing.
Oh, are they really? Oh, that's pretty
they're
cool.
They're playing the Rangers or something down there next January. They're going to be playing at the Marlins Stadium, and then they're playing a game in Tampa at the stadium.
Really?
That'll be an interesting game to go to.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, guys, great show. Great show. We're going to keep it a little shorter this week because, like I said, we're gearing up for the Super Bowl. A lot of big things coming up in the near future. We're going to start getting into some NBA, college basketball. We're ready for the Super Bowl next week. We're going to give you as much advice as we can to try to give you that winning edge, whether it's props or the actual game. And I'm going to have some very strong opinions, definitely on that game. I'm looking at it from every angle possible. So I just want to let you know we'll be back here next week with the next show. Just follow us, obviously follow each and every one of us on our social media. We put out free plays every day. Teddy, how can they find you?
You can go to the sportsprofits.com website. You can go to our Instagram at @the_profits_pick, no S after pick, or you can go to youtube.com/@thesportsprofits. And then, of course, guys, make sure if you're watching this podcast on the Get the Edge channel, you like, subscribe, turn those notifications on, leave us a comment.
Give the big thumbs up. Come on now.
Yep.
We're here working for you guys, trying to give you that winning edge. Give us a big thumbs up and a like.
Yeah, rumor has it we might be starting to charge for this show if we don't get more likes here shortly. So
there you go.
Get on
And
it.
you got to watch out for those fake accounts. I saw a couple
I get
fake followers on my site.
I get 3 a day. It's crazy.
It's insane.
They just take my name and they'll add 3 numbers to the end, all different. It's Profits Pick 003, Profits Pick 221.
I'm starting to get it now as well.
All right, where can they find you every day there and get that good information you're providing out there? Free stuff, private stuff, whatever you're offering. Let them know.
The best place to find me at is my official website, tkwins.com. If you want to follow me on social media, a lot of free stuff there, a lot of stories up daily at tkwins on Instagram.
All right, guys, you got 2 of the best out there. This is what we do. We try to bring you that winning edge. We look for everything we do. That's why we do it for a living and you don't. So follow up. You can trust what we're doing. You can do whatever you want. That's the beauty of it. You can believe in what we're putting out, or you don't have to play it, or you can play it. Check out everything I'm doing on my Instagram channel, which is SM Sports Picks, Picks. That's SM Sports Picks. Check it all out each and every day. We're putting out free stuff. We've been hot. We've been consistently putting out a lot of winning over the last several weeks, hitting about 65 to 66% winners on the free plays, and private service games have been red hot as well. Shoot me a DM. All you got to do is send me a DM. Let me know if you're interested in some private service. I'll be glad to work with you, put you in the right direction that I feel makes sense. And again, check out our show each and every week. This is the one and only Get the Edge Sports Podcast. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on our own channel on YouTube. You just put in the search word Get the Edge, and Watch will notify you when the show's up. You just click the link in our ads that we run, and you can get to the show right then and there. Have a great day today. We'll catch you back here next week. Tongue twisted.
Early mornings.
Good show.
How long was that? Yeah. It was a struggle. Problem is, you got to get